Hello everyone. Welcome to Spiritism at Noon. Currently, we are studying the book A Full Life, written by the Spirit Joanna de Angelis through the mediumship of Divaldo Franco. And I always like to remind everyone that each chapter is a new chapter. And if you are just joining today, we'll be able to follow the studies we are conducting in relation to this book. So we are chapter 23, Believe I Am He. Faith is anchored in reason, but it is the sentiments that nourish it. Knowledge elucidates and facilitates logical understanding, but it is in knowledge that faith finds the harmony that brings peace. Searching and finding rational faith, that which is not troubled by doubt, requires a well structured program that must be carefully maintained and must never consent to be led into error. Natural faith is the normal disposition to accept a fact without detailed examination or frequent doubts. Rational faith, however, is a disposition that has been built on facts. Once a rational faith, the kind that can stand up to opposing theories, has been established, it demands frequent attention in order to remain unblemished, along with constant reflections regarding its content, including the ongoing analysis of experiences uh, that present other interpretations. Scientific advances in many fields often offer logical explanation and demonstrations that collide with the beliefs that formalize human behavior. We should have friendly discussions about the new information that either confirms the existing set of beliefs or opens new perspectives for their acceptance. There are hundreds of religious doctrines forced upon society with terrible moral and emotional repressions as being fundamental for its adherence. Such beliefs are the victims of fear accepted under painful, threatening impositions. Believers let themselves be led by a fearful faith, devoid of moral resilience and spiritual values that do not allow them to question the greatest absurdities. We are referring to blind faith, which part of society still accepts, violating reason and the presence of facts that reveal a different meaning. Okay, so it is intriguing the title that Joanna de Angelis is bringing to this chapter. For starters, normally we will not immediately correlate it to a question of faith and how the definition of faith is going to be. But then at the same time, she's talking about believing, and more in particular in the way that Jesus used the sentence and replied, "Believe I am He." What sort of belief of we are talking about here? And this is what she's is already starts talking about us in terms of rational faith, natural faith, imposed faith, blind faith, which is current in our society. We will in things that we do, we can have a kind of natural faith. Why do how come you manage to do that? Because I just do. I believe in me. I know that I can do that, and then you go and do it. It's what we would call a natural belief and understanding in your abilities. But there are things that we have to stretch. It doesn't come as easier as some natural things. And when we are talking about things that we do not understand completely, or do not understand the mechanisms of those things, it may be more difficult for us to understand how come this works. I mean, the the creativity that we have as human beings. Sometimes, you see so many, is small inventions, right? That you say, but this is so simple. How come no one thought about doing that before? Let's take a straw, for instance. It's so simple. It's such a ingenious, right? Although, of course, today we are very conscious about straws. They cannot be plastic, etc. But I mean, so many different kind of, creations that may be easy for us to understand. But when it comes to um, machines, uh, when it comes to, you know, uh, believing in the invisible to us, it's harder. It's hard. Thinking. I always think about the microwaves. I don't know. I don't know why. You open that little box, put your food there. 3 minutes later, it's warm. And what is happening there? I don't see anything. It's kind of, I have to have a blind faith the first time I'm going to use that, because I don't know. I mean, there's nothing happening, but that is something happening. But of course, this is, I mean, all of those things that she's mentioning, and with that, she's mentioning especially knowledge. She's emphasizing how important knowledge is for us to have a reasonable faith, and how much important is for each and every faith, in this case not just the faith that we have, but beliefs, religious doctrines, like she says here, to be up to date with times. Because we cannot say, let's say a religion will come and say, a microwave is the byproduct of a demon. That's why it gets warm, right? Food gets warm. They are using the fires of hell to warm your food. Well, there could be someone that will say that, or start interpreting all the words, especially the words that we have in the Bible, only as words and not with their true meanings. So this is why she start to invite us here, start inviting us to reflect, and to really be um, very cautious when we bring some knowledge to us, and when we go and trust, because it's also related to trust, right? Uh, what are we going to trust? We have to do our homework first. This is what she's saying. Go after information, have friendly discussions about it. Be open-minded, because many times, we have the information, but we refuse to accept or change our point of view, because I always believe in one thing. I don't want to change now. I don't want to see things in different perspective. So, questions, comments so far? I always, you know, thought that, to talk about faith is very hard. even to start with the definition of the word. What is faith and belief and trust, and it seems that sometimes they all converge to the same place, and then we are talking about, intuitive faith, material faith, uh, and it's very hard. I think we are still very limited, and this is the reason why Joanna de Angelis is emphasizing here, uh, that whatever word we want to use, if it's to put our trust in something, we cannot just go and do it. We have to have knowledge about that. We have to have a minimal understanding about that, and sometimes it's not so easy. Yes, Sonia.
Yes, then it's like the line between you trust, you, you have like a rational faith, and the other side, the logical explanation
Mm,
to bring us to not believe.
mm,
Then it's online. And then in this moment, for me, especially, it's to trust, to to have in your life experience the proof about this kind of faith move our lives, bring a solution in the challenging moments, and build like a very nice energy around us to bring us easily the answers. Then, and I don't know, faith for me is something that I have. I feel like I was born with this kind of belief inside my soul.
yeah, this is an important thing that you're mentioning, because it's one thing that when we are studying about faith, and there are people, and they say there are people that sometimes come to us and say, I don't know, how come you have that much faith, right? Or you have faith. It's not an easy thing for me to, to have this faith, and and it's something that they say as many other things we bring from our reincarnations as well. Faith is also built, faith and trust, like I said, it's built in other incarnations as well. And this is why sometimes we see people that have, when I'm remembering a phrase from, a statement from Carl Gustav Jung, actually, when a reporter was interviewing him, and the reporter asked him, "Do you believe in God?" And he said something like, "I don't believe, I know," which is, you know, for you to arrive at that point, even to give an answer, to give a reply, because, he knows, especially, talking about the greatest or one of the greatest psychiatrists, psychologists in the world. He knows human nature, and he knows that when we say, "Yeah, I do believe in God," meaning everybody does, and in my own way, something like that. And so he said, I know for a fact that a creator exists. So it's interesting. So let's read a little bit more. Even in academia, concepts and guidelines that once defined certain issues are periodically abandoned on account of new information gained from new and valuable experiences and discoveries. Prayer is a powerful tool to securely nurture our rational faith, as it enables us to acquire the energy that emanates from the divinity and replenishes our sentiments. The analysis of the magnificent phenomena of mediumship provides details and facets that are not perceived at first glance, strengthening the belief or opening new paths for the understanding of physical existence and life in all its exuberant manifestations. Religious faith is always subject to revitalization, confirmation, and renewing approaches concerning the achievements of paraphysical theories and a more careful understanding of the brain and its complex purposes. Every day, neuroscience demonstrates the extraordinary power of the encephalon and amazingly confirms the explanations given by the immortal spirits in their communications. The study of this new science reaches its apogee with the prospects of the neurons in their chemical and biological communications. A faith backed by facts and grows and gains in strength. For the reason the codifier of Spiritism affirmed that unshakable faith is only that which can meet reason face to face in every human epoch. Reality changes names over time, but always defines of what is legitimate. Maybe there's something missing here um, for this reason. Okay, so uh, now she's saying, and this is something that we know for a fact, that even science changed, right? There was a time that the small particle that we had was the atom, and now I don't even know what it is because there are subparticles that they have divided so much. We have more efficient tools and devices that allows us to go far beyond. Before we thought, stars were only what, something suspended on the skies, and now we know that there are planets, there are suns, and there are asteroids, there are that some of them have the possibility of water and other things, and we go beyond our galaxy and others. Before we couldn't see the world of the microbes, and then we have Louis Pasteur that came and said, there are invisible, but yet no, not invisible to the human eyes, but they are there. It's not because we are not seeing. So we know the virus, the bacteria, and uh, others like this, and so we are constantly updating, and this is what we have to do. But this, as opposed to the belief that just because we know more, it seems that we are going in the opposite direction of God. In fact, we are going towards God, towards understanding God's greatness. So there was this fear that people want to know more than God. It's never going to happen. But we know, we may know a lot. We may know really a lot in terms of understanding, and now with mediumship, like she says here, the spirits come, they communicate, they use the mechanisms of the mind, of our brain, of our neurons, and this is the reason why Kardec was always very adamant in saying, if you find something that is not in agreement with science, follow science. Because the thing is, he understood quite well, Spiritism is not here to dictate science. It is here to help us in our moral issues. And he even said, in terms of the teachings of Jesus, there will be nothing that we will find that is not in accordance to our level of evolution or here on planet Earth. And especially considering that like Emmanuel says, that, Jesus is the governor of our planet Earth, the one that has participated like co-creator of planet Earth. And then we think that planet Earth was created 4.5 billion years ago. So 4.5 billion years ago, Jesus was already Jesus, capable of co-creating a planet. So until we reach that level, we can be sure that whatever he brought to us is still very updated today. It's just a matter of us, be capable of understanding the words of Jesus. Like when she started here, believe I am he. He, who is he? Right? And understanding what this he means, right? So I think it's very important for us to think and meditate about that. And like she says, prayer in this sense is not a matter of just a dogma or something. Is really like today we understand meditation more, right? If you meditate, you put yourself in a different level, you feel peace, yourself, your human cells are going to feel the renewal, the energy. Prayer is meditation. But can you imagine that, they had at that time they had to teach meditation to people. Prayer was already difficult. Imagine meditation. And one thing that we see, even in faith, in terms of faith, things are changing. Like this week I was thinking about Saint Catherine of Siena. She died when she was 33 years old, basically of hunger. Because, for the people of faith during many centuries, they believed that they had to starve themselves, that they had to sacrifice their bodies, that they had, to beat themselves, that they had to bring in themselves the signs of martyrdom. And of course, it was a different time, different perspectives, and we are not criticizing. It was the belief of the time. But today, if someone, and many of the saints, they used to do that today, you're going to say this person is deranged. You have to understand about the needs of the human body. Okay, we are talking about excesses, right? We eat too much or we eat too less, too little, right? So this is one thing that we will see even in faith when we learn also in the gospel according to Spiritism is not about how many times I will pray the rosary. I can pray it 100 times in a row, but I may not even paying attention and putting my heart and my mind in one of the prayers. So what is the purpose of just doing the repetition if I'm not involving myself or putting myself in a different dimension? Any comment or question?
about the prayer. The sentence prayer is powerful energy that emanates from the divinity. Then years ago, my daughter went to China
Mm,
and she had one very special experience about the prayers.
mm,
She visited a temple and had a lunch with monks, all the groups.
mhm.
And then she told me the monk prayed there and and as she mentioned, nobody understand any word because nobody speak Mandarin,
Mhm.
that language. But after the prayer, everybody was sensible, like little crying about the energy of that prayer. It's
Yeah.
very interesting for me because it doesn't matter which language that prayer, but the energy, this kind of divine energy, touch their souls. All the group there. And when she mentioned this, and oh, it's so special, this kind of experience, then changed the life and for someone who had the opportunity to live this experience, right?
And you see, once more, this shows that it's not about the words, but about the emotion that comes from the words. Maybe and I mean, some people, not many, are capable of doing that. Even if I do not understand what you're saying, I understand your emotion and I somehow get into the same frequency, and my thoughts, my whole body, my heart, it does understand. I remember having had this experience, I mean, with Divaldo. I mean, not myself in particular, because I understood the language that he spoke, but in many occasions when he was giving a talk in different countries, and the majority of people were from, they had to resort to translations, right? They would say, I can feel. I don't understand your words, but I understand you. You see, and so I think this is just so amazing, and this is exactly the kind of experience the Marina, I imagine she felt. Uh, the rare individuals, they are capable of leading us to this stage, a spiritual, this kind of spiritual stage. It is beautiful. Okay, let's read a little more. Trust God without any reservation or doubt. More than once, Jesus was emphatic with regard to habitual doubts. Believe I am He. They are waiting for the Messiah and they wanted for him to come, but when he revealed himself, they doubted, believing in something because other people believing in it without researching and analyzing what we claim to believe is a bad habit. Without a solid moral foundation, the edifice quickly collapses. Learn to examine your religious convictions so that your actions may be decisive and well delineated. Real faith does not change with time, place, or customs. It is anchored in the rock of our convictions. It is not weaken or become lukewarm when confronted by the sophistry of the different cultural periods. It faces them naturally and, if necessary, adapts the new information or adheres to its propositions, adding content. It is not necessary to deny oneself, but to compare the new information with the basis on which it stands. During a time of evolutionary struggles and challenges, individuals have the responsibility to make firm decisions and apply the energy of their convictions, which are the basis of their existence. You see, I was thinking here, since she's talking about more particularly about Jesus. I mean, all her work is about Jesus, but here in this chapter in particular, she's talking more about Jesus, about that situation where Jesus used it to heal during the Sabbath, right? And this, the Jewish people, especially the Pharisees, and he was a Jew himself, would come and criticize him. And he would constantly call their attention, saying, listen, think about what you're saying. In one of the occasions, I remember he said, if you have an animal that somehow is trapped in the or is in in a kind of dire difficult situation in the Shabbat during the Shabbat, you go there and you do something about it. What about the human being? How can I not heal this human being or do something for this human being? So this is what we are talking about, reasonable faith. Or when he would say, oh, I have to wash my hands because the custom at that time, you had to go and wash your hands, which we know is very laudable, and we have to do that. But then he would go far beyond and say, it's not just about washing your hands and coming here completely dirt in thoughts, in your soul, in your in your emotions. So you have all that, you have all this reason, and they didn't know what to do with that, because sometimes it's, I mean, this is what we say, you know this is what I know, this is what I understand, I don't know more. And what do you do? And this is here when she says, first of all, continuing this path, stick to your beliefs, but stick with your beliefs, not in the sense of freeze your beliefs. And this is it. It's just what I can put it in a box and that's it. I cannot put anything else in the box. No. You have to have room for what is still to come, for a new line of thinking, for a new understanding, for to expand our possibilities. Who could imagine, like now, for instance, I was thinking when we were talking about trust and believing, that a doctor in a different country can operate on a patient that is in a different country. I mean, I don't know you guys, but I don't know whether I would feel comfortable with that or not. Let's say my doctor is in China, I'm here in the US, and there he's, you know, moving the machines that are going to put, let's say, my new knee in place. Oops, what if there is a problem with the internet, with the Wi-Fi, right? The satellite. But we know that this is possible already, and it's not because we may not feel comfortable with it that we will say, God forbid, or this is not possible, this will never exist, or, no, it does. And it is absolutely possible. And how wonderful, because sometimes the only possibilities that people will have and is to have access to a surgery or something, it's going to be this one, right? So anyway, I think, we can think about that, we can expand, but there is always a base, and the base comes from the teachings of Jesus, not from the man, not even from the spirit necessarily, but from the teachings he brought from the law of the creator, which is something of a completely different dimension, right? Any question, comment?
Yes, about this sentence about during a time of struggles and challenges, we have the opportunity about our convictions. Then you mentioned often then our struggles and challenges is always opportunity for our evolutionary improvement, right? Our improvement. And then, but I can see during the struggle, the challenger, of course, I always believe I have the help to solution that situation. But what caught my attention, it's not about our group, because our group really believe, but the people who never believe, who never remember about God or Jesus or faith or something, but during the time of struggle, start pray and ask for help.
Mhm.
Then it's opportunity for them to learn it, right?
Yeah, Sonia, it is hard because, we commonly forget that we were there before. We were like them. And somehow now we are here. Okay, I'm sure it was not without blood, sweat, and tears. Like even in the present, it's quite hard. And there is a long road ahead of us. But and I think this is what, although, like I always say, we feel frustrated because we would like, especially people that we know more or that we love more because of their bloodly relation with us, their blood relations with us, and I mean, family, friends in our inner circle, we feel frustrated, but I mean, it has to be on their own time, because like it says here, it's not a matter of saying, okay, I do believe it. It has to come from a solid base. And if the soil is not prepared enough, the seed is not going to stay, and it's not going to find a proper soil to grow. So unless I work on my soil first, and I think the one of the basic things is actually um, uh, to be open mind. I normally say, you don't have to believe in what I believe. Just be an open mind, a person, kind of person, because there is so much that we do not know and understand. And in the past 30 years of our lives, we had so many innovations, and I mean, we went to a different degree of, life and way of living. Okay, not the whole humankind, but little by little, we will go to all places. And so, it's just that. Work on your soil, because to be sure that when the seeds at that particular moment, like you said about this experience that Marina, your daughter had, that seed came at a moment where her soil was open to that, because I can imagine, and I would be certain to say that there were people that went through the same experience, maybe at the same one at the same time where she was, and didn't feel the same, and could not feel the energy that came from words I was not even understanding. You see, so for everyone, I think there is this, the image that I have is the Paul of Tarsus, Saul of Tarsus, the road to Damascus, right? There is a moment in time that there will be this awakening. For Peter, for instance, was when he went really down in denying Jesus 3 times.
And I really believe it could be the first step in their life. Then, when they face some challenge and start to pray, asking something, I believe it's really positive way they have this kind of opportunity. As
Mm-hmm.
always we mention about here,
Mm-hmm.
about the struggles and challenge always be an opportunity for us to improve ourselves.
Yeah. And then it's important to remember that at the same way that it happened with us, because I do believe we went through this process already, okay? um, it is a process. It doesn't mean that because I open myself and I receive the seed that I'm already bearing fruits the following day. Okay, so this is the first step. This is a wake up call, and that you may even accept or not. There may come a point in time that you'll say, "Oh my God, I remember 20 years ago when I went to China and I went to this experience. I wish I had acted sooner on my spirituality, for instance. Or I'm going to act on it now." And then, but we know how hard it is, because we are constantly dealing with so many demands from the physical world. And it gets in the way. And but okay, it's babe steps, and we have to keep going, and we have to know. And I mean, I'm sure you did something already, or you said something to her, but I think you could emphasize that and say and tell her, do you really realize how special was this experience that you lived? Don't let it die that day. Let it be always present in your heart, because sometimes we just let it go, you know, um, and we even forget that we had this, beautiful and blessed experiences. Okay, let me continue reading here. The storm rages on, but your faith remains certain that harmony will be restored, even when everything points to the contrary. Are dramas and assaults destabilizing your plans? Get up despite your lax knees and proceed. Faith is not just for auspicious and happy times, but also for when we are experiencing difficult situations or going through a period of growth. Those with faith in the future are building a happy tomorrow while those who are um, uh, plagued by doubts, disregard the joys of today. The act of believing is a form of living. No one can live productively without having faith in the greatness of life, in the manifestations of nature, in the magnificence of the universe, or being dazzled by life itself with its own wondrous manifestations. To live unaware of reality is an inconsistent form of faith. Living itself is, therefore, a faith based experience. Whoever saw him on the cross, wounded and without strength, would not believe that that sacrificial act was necessary for him to resuscitate, crowned with beauty and peace. So I think it's beautiful when she talks about here uh, that faith is not when everything is good with us. Oh, God is great. God does exist because everything is happening the way I want in my life. Actually, we mostly prove that we have faith when things are not going our way. Meaning, I know it's going to happen. I'm going to overcome that. I know there will be a light at the end of the tunnel. Um, like for instance, now you guys know that I went through all those the pain and had to have back surgery, etc., etc. And it was very hard to live with that pain. And now, thanks to the surgery, I'm not completely rid of the pain, and there will be another surgery. But anyway, even if I cannot um, see any improvement with a new surgery, the way it is, I'm already capable of living, and before I wasn't. So even if it's not the way we want it to be, because of course we want everything to be perfect, and sometimes it's not possible. It's okay. Count your blessings. Be happy with what you have achieved. Is the glass half full? Okay, do not just look at what is not there, what you has not achieved. Look at everything that you have and how things are happening and improving. And but it takes time. We grow in the process, we learn in the process, we prove our faith to ourselves, we strengthen ourselves. It's only our still childish way of behaving that gets in the way, that we want instant gratification. I want a gold star now. Pat me in the back and say, "Oh, you're magnificent. You're doing absolutely great." That's what all we want. But this is happening and you're not seeing it, because even there is a lesson from the Spirit Emmanuel that he says that, more or less, he says that when we are going through struggles, it's like a pat in the back by God, because he's saying, oh, here is a child of mine that is grown enough to go through the next step. But in order for you to reach, the top of the mountain, you have to climb the mountain. And climbing is not easy. It requires effort. But then once you reach there and you see the whole valley, you're close to the stars and the sun and the uh, sensation of, I did it. I achieved it, what I have set myself to do. it's something that is absolutely priceless, right? So this is what we are doing here, and this is, the what faith and reasoned faith is all about. There is much more room for improvement. And but we are there, we're getting, we are in the way. Any comments or questions? Yes.
I was watching a TV show the other day, and the person was a priest talking to someone who had done something wrong, and he said, you're not going to give me the salvation or something. You no, he said something like, you're not going to give me any grief or anything like that. And then the man who was a priest, he said, we don't need to do this. People do that to themselves all the time, much more than anything we can give them. So in accordance to what we're reading and learning, is like we always stay on, oh, but I don't have this. Oh, but this is missing. Oh, I should do that better, and not celebrate the good, right?
Yeah.
So it's we stay on what's missing, what's wrong, instead of focus on being thankful for what's already there.
Yeah.
So it's everywhere, unfortunately.
Yes. Yes. I was listening to a talk by Divaldo Franco this week, and he mentioned that there was like a sale in a little store that the devil was selling his stuff, secondhand thrift store for the devil's possession. And the man was looking at the store, and he was saying, he was saying, envy. A bottle of envy would cost, let's say, $10, and something, well, a bottle of grief, or an object that would uh, re- uh, um, um, remind you of that would cost, like, I don't know, $20. And then there was an item that the man asked uh, the devil that was selling his things, that he saw that it was very old and beaten, and it didn't seem to be that valuable, but it was the highest price in the store, and the item was dismay. And he said, how come envy and greed and are like, $10, $20, and dismay is $1,000? Oh, because this is the one that I use most often, and people do not realize that is my most precious way of getting into them. And so this is, I think it goes very well with the lesson we were talking about here, because, like when she was talking about in times of struggle, this is when we tend to think, to get into dismay. I don't believe in myself. I don't have faith in myself. I don't have faith in life. I don't have faith in God anymore. I don't have faith in the spirit. I don't, it's when we get ourselves really, and we push ourselves believing that we are not loved, that we are not worthy, that there is not a God. And this is all because of this maze. So let us think about it, meditate on the lesson, and let's not shop for it, okay? Let us shop for joy. Okay. All right.